105 race wins, 104 pole positions, 7 world championships. Statistically, he is the colossus that bestrides the narrow world of Formula One. He is Sir Lewis Hamilton. And yet, you hear that noise. The boos, the vitriol on social media, the intense visceral dislike that emanates from a significant section of the global fanbase. Welcome to The Good Formula. I am JSK, and let's talk about why Lewis Hamilton is hated so much. We are going to dissect one of the most fascinating psychological paradoxes in modern sports. Why do so many people hate Lewis Hamilton? And I promise you, the answer has a lot less to do with Lewis and a lot more to do with us. The burden of the tall poppy. To understand the Hamilton paradox, we must first understand the psychology of dominance. In psychology and sociology, they talk about something called the tall poppy syndrome. It's a social phenomenon where people of genuine merit are resented, attacked, or cut down because their achievements elevate them too far above their peers. We love an underdog. The human brain is wired to root for the struggle. When a driver wins everything every weekend for years, as Lewis and Mercedes effectively did between 2014 and 2020, the narrative grows stale. Dominance breeds boredom, and boredom breeds resentment. We saw it with Michael Schumacher and Ferrari in the early 2000s. We saw it with Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull between 2010 and 2013, and we most recently saw it with Max Verstappen between 2022 and 2024. When you are the inevitable winner, you become the villain in everyone else's story. Lewis Hamilton stopped being a racer to many fans. He became the establishment. He became the Death Star that needed blowing up. The hate, initially, was simply a psychological rejection of monotony. We wanted chaos. He provided order. Tribal warfare and social identity. But boredom only explains mild annoyance. It doesn't explain the venom. For that, we need to look at social identity theory. Sports fandom is a socially acceptable form of tribalism. We derive part of our self-esteem from the group we belong to, our in-group. Anyone outside that group is the out-group. In 2021, we saw the perfect psychological storm, the rise of Max Verstappen. Max represented the new guard, the aggressive challenger to Hamilton's established order. If you identified with Max's tribe, Lewis Hamilton ceased to be a human being. He became an obstacle to your tribe's validity. The crash at Silverstone 2021 was a massive psychological flashpoint. For Verstappen fans, Hamilton celebrated while their hero was in the hospital. It violated a sense of sporting morality. Conversely, for Hamilton fans, Abu Dhabi 2021 was a violation of institutional justice. When these tribal lines solidify, we fall victim to confirmation bias. If you already dislike Lewis, every radio message he makes complaining about tires sounds like entitled whining. If you love him, the same message sounds like strategic genius. We no longer see the action, we only see who is performing it. Breaking the archetype, the horns effect. Now, we must enter deeper, more sensitive territory. We have to talk about who Lewis Hamilton is, and more importantly, what he represents. For 70 years, the archetype of a Formula One driver was fairly rigid. They were almost exclusively white, often from privileged backgrounds, and their public persona began and ended at the racetrack and excesses surrounding it. Lewis Hamilton shattered that mold. He is a black man from a working-class background in Stevenage, England. But more than that, he refused to stay in the racing driver box. He embraces fashion, music, and celebrity culture. Crucially, He uses his platform for activism, environmentalism, racial justice, LGBTQ rights. Psychologically, this creates cognitive dissonance for a certain type of traditional fan. They want their sports heroes to be two-dimensional gladiators, existing only for entertainment. When the gladiator stops fighting to lecture the crowd on human rights, it breaks the contract. This triggers what is known as the horns effect, the opposite of the halo effect. Because these fans disagree with or are uncomfortable with his off-track persona or politics, they unconsciously attribute negative traits to his on-track behavior. His confidence is misread as arrogance. His focus is misread as aloofness. He is different, and the human mind, at a primitive level, fears different. The mirror of projection. Sometimes, when psychiatrists analyze a patient who has an intense, irrational fixation on someone they don't actually know, they're asked, "What are you projecting onto them?" Lewis Hamilton lives a life of immense privilege, wealth, global travel, and adulation. He is fiercely individualistic. He says what he thinks, wears what he wants, and seems unbothered by traditional masculinity norms. For many people stuck in the grind of daily life, adhering to social rules they hate, seeing someone live so freely can trigger deep-seated envy. Not just jealousy of the money, but envy of autonomy. It is sometimes easier to tear down the person living that free life than to examine the constraints of our own. Conclusion: the human behind the helmet. Tribalism, boredom with dominance, the discomfort of a broken archetype, unconscious projection. These are powerful psychological forces. They explain why the noise is so loud, but they do not justify hate. As we conclude this video, I want you to remember one thing. Formula One is a magnificent circus. We need heroes, and we need villains to make the narrative compelling. It's okay to root against Lewis Hamilton. It's okay to want one team or driver to win over another. That's sports. But when the visor goes down, there is still a human being in that cockpit. A man who fought his way up from nothing to achieve the impossible, and who is now using that platform to try and make the world a little more inclusive. You don't have to like his outfits. You don't have to agree with his politics. You don't even have to like his driving style. But true hate, real vitriolic hatred, that should be reserved for criminals, for those who do despicable things to others. Lewis Hamilton is just an athlete who won a lot, changed the game in a quantifiable way, and refused to be silent. If that's his crime, then perhaps the problem isn't with him. Perhaps it's time we all looked in the mirror. If you have stuck around till the end, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Ciao.